Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Crystal Tellier doing another little segment here on the Lingo continuous glucose monitor. Still finding some awesome information about it. And in fact, I'm out right now doing a walk, not only to get some sunshine and fresh air and just take a break from computer work and online learning seminar I'm in, which is learning such great information, but man, my brain is starting to fry, so need some movement. The sensor data I'm going to show you this time, and this is going to be in kind of a two-part recording. It's going to show you what days can look like when they're a little more erratic. My last recording, I was kind of bragging on myself with a 0 score on one day, and wow, look how balanced I am. I'm going to show you a couple days where I'm not as balanced, which does happen in life. Had two really busy clinic days. Also today here as online learning in service where I was dual acting, answering kind of patient messages and interoffice messages and drinking a little too much coffee and all the things. Ended up with my highest number to date on this little sensor. I think it was like 156 or something like that, which is not at all what my goal is, to keep me in a good, healthy glycemic range. So I'll show you that data here in just a second. As promised, here's my screen share with my continuous glucose monitor data. And what you can see here is I'm at 93 here currently. And in the screen, you can see there's a couple little sharper spikes here that represent some of the foods I was having, as well as a nice drop down from some exercise that I was helping support bring down my glucose. Now, I had in my last recording a couple really great days where I ended up with Lingo counts that were around 6 and 7. Now, in the true spirit of learning, it ironically worked out that I've got a couple days here that my Lingo count is a little bit on the higher side, which was not necessarily intentional, but life happens. And so you can see my current count right now is a 41, and the day's not quite over, so it is very possible that that count might go up. I'm going to show you my graph here. In a perfect world, we don't do these large peaks and then drops down. That's representative of my glucose going high and then my pancreas ultimately responding and releasing extra insulin and therefore having a correction downward. And then the body will sometimes yo-yo up and down because it is really trying to figure out, okay, what is the true demand we have here and where should we settle in? And it does do some overcorrections back and forth, and you'll see a little bit of that here. Some of it is I have a lot of entries here for things that have happened. Today's not a typical day for me. I traveled up north. I've been in an online training all day, not with my normal diet, little bit more caffeine today. So lots of excuses, but the reality is life happens. And so that's really representative where you're going to see a lot of these ups and these downs. And thankfully for me, that's not representative of my, normal daily life. But the reality is it is today. And honestly, I don't feel as good as I did on my other days when I had a nice solid Lingo count around a 7 or even around a 16. As you can see, today I'm at a 41. When I move over into yesterday, I had a Lingo count for the whole day at 43. Didn't necessarily feel bad yesterday, but you can see I had a couple big rises. Sorry for the pups barking in the background, but that is also life. And yesterday's business day was just a big, busy day. That was the day that I ended up traveling out of town. So not necessarily eating my normal foods. And you can see I kind of was up and down and up and down. And some of that had to do with travel time. Some of it also had to do with a networking event that I was attending. So life looked just a little bit too different. All right. I did want to circle back real quick. This is more right about how we want. We want nice level days. That Lingo count day was my 7 day that I was kind of bragging. I was at a 0 at 5 in the afternoon. So 7 for the total day ended up being a great day. And that day I felt awesome. So I still highly recommend that people use this information. I think it's a really great teaching tool and just reminder to ourselves of what life looks like with the foods that we eat, the exercise that we do, and traveling events, what that looks like. Oops, had too much coffee, what that looks like. So I'm highly, highly encouraging that people consider doing this, not necessarily all the time, but just as you feel that you need that information to learn to optimize your health. And I'll show down here, these are some of the data points that you can put in for different events and foods. So that way you can see where your scores are at and be able to make really good judgments on how to support your health. And then down at the bottom, it gives you that average glucose. And with that average glucose, you can actually get some online calculators that will help give you a comparative hemoglobin A1C average, which is kind of a blood test that we typically will use to assess somebody's blood sugar status. All right, I hope that was informative. Back here, I'm still at a 94 for my current glucose, so looking pretty good. And good luck. And if you need help supporting with this, please give us a call at the office and we will help troubleshoot through this and figure out how to optimize your glucose. Take care and have a great night.